Hello everyone, welcome to Jolly Molly TV. Today we're going to work on another fun block in Kimberbell's Pumpkins and Potions ladder quilt project. In today's video we're actually going to work on two blocks, but it's the same block. We're just going to incorporate it twice in this quilt. So we have the Flying Geese block right here, and then we have another Flying Geese block, which is the same block up here. So we're just basically going to make this block twice. All right, so go ahead and grab your plastic pouch or plastic bag system that you have labeled Flying Geese, and let's go over to the machine and let's get stitching. Okay, we're at the machine and I have a bobbin with white thread down below, and I'm using my 5x7 hoop for this block, and I put a piece of the poly no-show mesh stabilizer in it. All right, let's go to the screen cam and let's load the design. I have a Baby Lock Destiny, which is identical to the Brother Dream machine. If you have something similar, you can follow along. I'm going to click on Embroidery. I'm going to go to my flash drive. I'm going to go to Pumpkins and Potions. And I'm going to go to the quilting design first. And we're going to be working on Flying Geese A. So I'm looking for the Halloween 10 design. And I'm looking for a 4x6, which is right here. That's the one we want. I'm going to click Set. Don't have to do anything to it. I'm ready to add the second design. All right, if you're not able to add, don't worry. We're going to stitch what you need on this part, then we're going to load the main embroider design. We're going to stitch that out, and then you will come back and reload this design to quilt the last step, because the quilting in this block actually comes last. All right, and it will make more sense as you watch the video. But we will start with this block because we need to tack down the batting. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click Add. I'm going to go to the flash drive, go back to Pumpkins and Potions, and I'm looking for the Flying Geese, which is right here. Dun, dun, dun. Maybe it has to load. There we go. That's the Flying Geese block. Okay, let's click Set. Brings it in right on top. We don't have to do anything to it. Just click Embroidery. Okay, and I'll walk you through step by step as we do this, because we're going to skip around on stitching some of these steps out, but I will walk you through each one. Okay, so the first thing we do want to do is put white thread up on top. Reason being is no matter what color fabric you have, the white thread is going to be easy for you to see and will be completely hidden when we get through with this block, so you won't see the white thread at all. So put white thread up on top, and we're going to stitch out the first stitch, which is a placement line for the batting, which you're also going to grab a piece of batting that is labeled 5x7 and put that aside. All right, so let's go ahead and stitch out the placement line for that batting. Okay, now I'm going to place the batting down and make sure that I cover all sides of that placement line. Use my stylus and hold it down, and let's tack down the batting. Okay, now I want you to take the hoop off the machine and take it to a table, and I want you to trim away all of the excess batting from around all four sides of that stitch line, and I'll meet you right back here. Okay, so that's all trimmed up. Now I need you to get your plastic pouch system or plastic bag system out that's labeled Flying Geese A, and I want you to pull all of that fabric out. Okay, you should have 6 pieces of one and 3 pieces of another. Okay, that's going to be my Flying Geese block with fabrics from my stash. Now let's go to the screen cam. You can see right now the machine is saying it wants to do a placement line for the background piece of fabric, which we don't have. We haven't created it yet. So I'm going to skip this step. I want to go to my plus and minus key, and I want to go forward a step. Okay. All right. So then this is the tack down for a piece of background fabric, which we haven't created yet. So we're going to skip that step. This is the quilting, which would go on a piece of background fabric, which you guessed it, we haven't created yet. So we're going to skip that step. Here we go. Now this is a layout of the flying geese. This we want to stitch out. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the hoop cam, get my fabrics out of the way, leave white thread up on top for the next several steps. And we're going to just use that to stitch out the placement line for the Flying Geese blocks. Here we go. Okay, now this is going to be fun. So I want you to pull out both of your fabrics, and you have one which have 3 pieces and another fabric that you have cut 6 pieces. Okay, to make this easier, I am just going to call this the main fabric, and I'm going to call this the secondary fabric. All right, so that'll help make it easier than trying to go A1, A2, and then with the geese B, you're doing the same thing. So I'm just going to call this the main fabric, and this one, you can't see it, this one the secondary. Okay, this one has 6 pieces. So the main fabric, which is going to be the center of your geese, and my block, it's going to be this black fabric. Okay, main fabric. So I'm going to choose which way do I want this to be. I think I want it this way. And see this first part right here? This is where you want to line it up. Just center it. You have lots of fabric. You have a cushion. So I want to make sure that you've covered the placement line on the bottom. You definitely covered it on top and on both sides. And when I say center, meaning I center the fabric here on the sides. So it's not like I'm lopsided one side or another. I center it, and then I also try to center it between that stitch line and the stitch line up at the top. Okay, this is the main fabric. Now we're going to leave white thread up on the top of the machine, and what we're going to do is we're going to stitch down on this side. Okay, so I don't use tape during this process. If you've watched any of my videos, I tend to try to just hold it with a stylus. But if you do that, just keep your fingers away from this moving needle. Let the stylus do the work and take the damage if you happen to get too close. All right, so just hopefully that won't happen. Try not to get too close. All right, let's put the foot down. And you can see I'm not high enough. I need to move that fabric up a little bit more for it to grab and stitch. So I'm going to move it up. Make sure I still cover that bottom stitch line. Now when I put the foot down, I've got a good 1/4 inch it's going to stitch. And it's going to go and stitch this direction. All right, here we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the hoop off gently. Had a little bubble there. The fabric is nice and flat. Now I'm going to use my scissors, my curved scissors, and I'm going to trim to the right of that stitch line. And normally I would do this on a table, but because I want you to see it right here, I'm going to do it on the machine, but take this to a table and do this. Okay, so you're on a flat surface and you don't pop the hoop out. I'll just do it right there to show you. Okay, so I did that, trimmed that off the right side. So that's how it looks right now. Now I'm going to take this piece of the secondary fabric. Okay, secondary fabric, and I'm going to put it, if I turn my hoop like this, I'm going to put it face down, because we're going to flip this. See, so if you put it face down, when you flip it, it'll be in the right direction. Okay, face down, and see this line? I'm just going to center the fabric and just cover a little bit over that stitch line. All right, and put it down. And I can know if I look at where my foot's going to be, I want to make sure that I'm going to catch that fabric with oodles to spare, and I am, so I can actually move it back just a little bit. Like I said, there's a good cushion in the fabric measurements that Kimberbell does that allows you space to be able to have wiggle room, so to speak. All right, so now I'm going to put the foot down. White thread is still up on top for all these steps. And let's tack down a piece of the secondary fabric. Okay, now you're going to flip the fabric over under the needle, and then you're going to finger press it. Okay, you don't need to take this to an iron. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Finger pressing is good. All right, if you want to take it over to an iron, take the hoop off gently, take it over to your iron and just press gently and then come back. But I've found that finger pressing works really well for this. All right, so now that you've flipped that, now it's going to stitch another line over here. All right, foot down, and let's stitch that out. Okay, I'm going to take the hoop off just so I can see what I'm doing with this, and I'm going to center. You see that stitch line goes from here to here? You're going to center that right over the top, just like that. And you're going to put the hoop back down, take your stylus, and hold that fabric in place. Whoops, see, it moved. So if it moved, I'm going to triple check that I'm still in place, and I'm good. Foot down, and let's tack down the secondary fabric. Don't move, fabric, you're good. Trim to this side of the black fabric, just like I would have normally. And curved scissors are a wonderful thing. Okay. And I can even go up and get underneath that fabric, and I get that out. Okay, so the main reason for doing that, whoops, like I said, is because it's now taken that dark fabric away. So when I flip this back over, you are only going to see the white. You're not going to see the black peeking through. All right, so now what that means is I'm now going to put this back on the machine, finger press this one back down. Okay, so now I'm going to take the hoop off the machine, and now I want to trim on this side of the line, and I want to trim away this excess right here. And I'll still do it on camera, just you do it on a table, okay? But I want you to make sure you're only trimming on the right side, so I want you to see me do this. Okay, and just go straight over. Okay. So that's where you trim. There's a little bit extra here. And there we go. All right, does that make sense? All right, so now we're going to take a piece of your main fabric. All right, and if you have directional fabric like I do, or you want the fabric to appear in a certain way, just know that you can put it in the flying geese in a certain way, but the geese may be displayed in the project up and down or on its side. Okay, so just know that. So I think I want it like this, like that. So I'm going to flip it over, right sides together, and here's the start and finish of that stitch line. I am going to center over left and right that line, just like that. So I'm still covering all of this, and I give it ample room to stitch that fabric down. Again, this is your main fabric. So foot down, and let's tack this down. Okay, now I'm going to take the hoop off again, only because it's just easier to see when it's right in front of you, and also easier to finger press down. Okay, so that's what we want to do. All right, put it back on the machine, and now it's going to stitch a line from here to here. All right, foot down, here we go. Okay, now we're going to trim this off. We're going to cut to the right of that stitch line. Again, take it to a table so you have a sturdy, safe surface. You don't want the hoop to pop open. Okay, there you go. So that's trimmed up there. Now I want you to take a piece of your secondary fabric, right side together. Here's the end of the stitch line. Here's the end of that stitch line. And I'm going to move it right on so I'm kind of centered. The lines here and here. And I'm going to have plenty to tack down. So let's put the foot down and do it. Okay, now I'm going to flip the fabric over, finger press it, which is great, and now it's going to do a stitch line on the left side. Here we go. Okay, take the hoop off the machine. We're not going to repeat the first mistake where I forgot to trim the black fabric, so we're going to pull this up. Just nip a little bit of that, and then we're going to trim on the right side of that fabric. So this is now free, and the black won't show through. Yeah, only make that mistake once, right? Right, but hey, mistakes are a part of machine embroidery. We will make them over and over again. And that's just how it works. So the main reason in my channel is I'm going to show my mistakes so that you can learn from them. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to take a piece of the secondary fabric. I'm looking at the beginning and the end of that stitch line. I'm going to center my fabric on these two sides and then roll it up so it covers that stitch line. And I can put my foot down. I will have plenty to stitch, so I can actually move it back just a little bit. There we go. So let's use a stylus and let's tack down this piece of secondary fabric. Okay, we're good. So now we're going to flip that fabric over we're going to finger press. Finger press, finger press. Okay, now it's going to stitch a line going all the way across, tacking both of those pieces of fabric down. Here we go. Okay, you're getting this. All right, so now I'm going to take the hoop off the machine, and now I want to cut away this excess fabric here. Again, take this to a table, please. And say, do not hit the hoop. But this way, I know for sure you'll see me, hopefully, cut the right section of fabric. And that's very important to me. Make sure you know where to cut. All right, so now we're going to put the hoop back on. We are good, and I want you to take your last piece of your main fabric. I basically put it down and I flip it over. Here's the start and finish of the stitch line. Center it on that, lay it down, and we are good to tack this down. It's going to do a stitch right across. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm actually gonna, I think I can leave this on. Yeah. And then I'm gonna finger press. So I flip the fabric. I'm finger pressing it, laying it down flat. Now it's gonna do a stitch from here, diagonal to the top. You're almost done, you got this. Okay, I'm going to take the hoop off the machine again, and now I'm going to trim away this excess fabric right here on a table. I know I've said that 6 times. I know. There we go. All right, got that? All right, so now I'm going to take a piece of your secondary fabric, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to flip it over. There's the beginning and end of that stitch line. Center the fabric left and right, and then just put it right on the top of that line. Foot down. We got plenty of space to stitch this down. Here we go. You always want at least 1/4 of an inch. Okay, now I'm going to flip this over, finger press, the same thing that we've done before, and now it's going to stitch a line from here down to there. Almost done, you've got this. Okay, so I'm going to take the hoop off the machine, and now I'm going to trim away the excess fabric right here. Can you still see it? All right. I'm not going to worry too much about this one. I'll cut a little bit into it. This one is going to get trimmed off when we square up the whole block. I just need to get the black fabric out of there so it doesn't show. Okay. There's a little bit here I'll take. All right, that's good. Take your last piece of your secondary fabric, center it from this end to this end. Okay, your right side's down, and we're going to put it right on top of that line. You got this. Foot down. I can tell I got a lot over there, so I can bring it back just a little bit. So I still have 1/4 of an inch. All right. Go ahead and tack this one down. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this one over and I'm going to finger press that one as well to make sure it's all good. And then just gently finger press the rest. Again, one more time, we're good. Because the next stitch, it's going to go around the whole outside edge and it's going to tack all of this down in place. All right, so let's put the foot down and let's stitch that outside edge all the way around. Let's go on this way. Yeah. Okay, I stopped it because I want to make sure that it doesn't catch these two edges. This one I'm not so worried about. This one I am. So I'm just going to put my stylus in place. And I do it a little bit slower. There we go. There we go. We're good. Cool. Isn't that cool? Look at what you did. All right, we're not done yet. What we're going to do is going to go back to the string cam. Remember, we skipped some steps. So it says I'm finished, but I'm not. So I'm going to click OK. And it will automatically take me to the first step. That was the placement line for the batting. We don't need that. We've already done it. Skip a step. Go down. This is the tack down for the batting. We've already done that. Skip that one. This was the placement line for the background fabric. We don't need to do that because it's already in place. This is the tack down line for the piece of fabric. Well, everything's already tacked down, so we don't need that. Skip that. And it goes right to the quilting. That's where we want to be. This will be the last stitch that we need for this block is the quilting. How about that? Now, I am going to use some thread that I've been waiting so long to use. It's variegated Halloween thread. Look at that. This is so cool. I think this will show up nicely on the black. It'll kind of blend in when it gets to black, and then it's going to really show on this moon and the stars. I think that would be fun. This variegated thread is a black to purple to orange. So it's got the 3 colors for Halloween. This is by Threadart. Okay. And I'll put a link in the description below. This is color number 20 of their variegated. It's called Halloween, I believe. So I'm going to give it a shot. And you just look at puddling. It's kind of hard to see it puddled on camera, but I think it's going to be really cool. So I'm going to give this a shot. You need to make a hard decision and decide what color thread you want to do your quilting in. Because it all depends. I'm assuming you're going to have 2 different colors. You want something that will work well on both fabrics. Mine is going to blend in, I think, a little bit on here, and I think it'll pop on that one. So let's see what it does, okay? So I've got the thread up above, and it's a 2-minute stitch out to do the quilting. Here we go. I'm excited to see. Let's do it. That is super cool. It's almost like mystery quilting. Look at that. Some places you can see it, some places you don't. But then you look really closely and then you see it going from orange to purples to black. That is cool. Really hard to see on the camera, but that is super cool. You'll be able to see it better when we go over to the table and finish up this block. But that I'm really happy with how that turned out. That's amazing. Okay, so now what we're going to do, you finish this one. We need to make a complete duplicate of what you just did using your fabrics that you have in your plastic pouch system that's labeled Flying Geese B. All right, that's going to be 2 different fabrics. Pull it out, you're going to do it the same way. So what I want you to do is I want you to rewind this video back to the beginning and follow the same steps. You'll have your main fabric, which is 3 pieces, and you'll have your secondary fabric, which is 6 pieces. Just don't repeat that mistake that I did. All right, so I want you to make a second one of these blocks. The only difference that you're going to have, and I'll walk you through this here when I clear my memory, is you're going to have a difference in what quilting design that you have. So I'm going to go embroidery, flash drive, pumpkins and potions, quilting designs, and the Flying Geese B is going to be your Halloween 11, still a 4x6. This is the one with the ghost. All right, so you'd bring that one in and then turn around and add flash drive, pumpkins and potions, the same Flying Geese block, identical, and bring that in, and that will put it right on top and click embroidery. All right, so you'll follow the exact same steps. You'll skip the same steps on the machine. So go back and rewind the video. Then when we fast forward here, I have to show you how the quilting turns out on my Flying Geese B block. All right. So I can't wait to show you that. So go ahead and make that second block, and I'll meet you right back here. I had to show you how this quilting came out. This is amazing, and this is using Variegated thread by Threadart. This is a thread that has black, purple, and orange in it. It has a good distance for the change of color, so it's not like a long change of color. What I mean by good distance is it has a nice short change where you can see the colors. It's just beautiful. This is Threadart, color number 20, and I'll put the link in the description below. And this is their variegated thread. I've been waiting a long time to use this, and I thought this block was perfect because it gave the illusion on the black, so the fabric wasn't too busy. You can see the quilting on that, but on the solid parts, it just pops. So this is by Threadart, if you're interested. All right. Isn't this cool? I love these, and each one has its own unique spin. This one has a spiderweb quilting. This one has the ghost quilting. And you know what's really cool is it's almost like the ghosts are popping out from the flying geese. They're like, peekaboo. Hi, I see you. Hello. That's so cute. So I love that variegated thread. So now that you've done 2 Flying Geese blocks, let's take these 2 over to the table, and I'll show you how to finish them up. All right, you have now completed both Flying Geese blocks. Isn't this fun? I love the different look, and I really love the ghost popping out from behind those flying geese. That's so cute with the quilting. All right, so the last thing we have to do is square these up. I'm going to put that one aside for a second. These blocks are going to measure 4.5 inches by 6.5 inches. And we're going to do the same thing like we've done for other blocks. I want you to look for this outer stitch line. In my case, it's the one that's in white thread. And that's what I want to use to measure this up to make sure that I can use those lines as guidance when I do my cutting. So from this outer stitch line to this one, it's 4.5. And from the top one to the bottom, it's just shy of 6.5. So we are good to go using those lines. I'm going to turn it to the side, And in this case, we are going to line this up just like that. It's a good straight stitch line. And we're going to make our first cut. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can. And now I'm going to cut off the fabric and the stabilizer. All right, here we go. Step 1. All right, so now we're going to turn that one over, line it up on our mat, put it on 17, so I'm going down to 11.5 because my mat is reversed. So it goes high to low, so I have to subtract, not to confuse anybody. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, I can. I'm going to go just past it because 11.5 is where I need to line up my ruler. Straight over here. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, I can. Now I can make that next cut. Okay, those 2 sides are done. So I'm going to use the same technique over here. I'm going to look for that stitch line and go just a little bit past it. Like so, and then I can make my first cut. There goes the fabric. All right, now it's looking like a Flying Geese Block. So I'm going to line it up with my mat. 15, I go down to 11.5. Line it up on the mat and use one of my lines across at the bottom of the fabric to make sure I am perfectly square. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, it's just underneath that ruler. And now you've got one block squared up. Woohoo! So I'm going to set this one aside out of the way because I don't want that to get accidentally cut. I'm going to do the same thing real quickly on this one. I'm going to look at the stitch line, line this one up. That one looks good. Can I see the stitches? Yes, I can. Okay, get that one out of the way. Come over here, line it up with the mat. 16, I'm going to go down to 10.5. First I line it up and down, and then I'll line a ruler up with that stitch line just to make sure I am golden where I want to be. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, I can. All right, you got this. 2 more cuts to go. Okay, I'm going to look at that stitch line. That looks good. Move just a hair past it. Can I see the stitch line? Yes, I can. Okay. Now I'm going to turn this around, do the same thing. Line it up on 15 on this side. It's going to go down to 11.5 on my mat. Use my line down here. Make sure my block is going to be square. Make sure I'm on 11.5. Can I see that stitch line? Yes, I can. And now I can make that cut. Look at that. All right, you did it. Now I can bring the other one back. Look at how cool those 2 are. Look at that. You just finished your Flying Geese blocks. Yay! So I hope you had as much fun today making these blocks as I did. So please stay tuned here on Jolly Molly TV for more fun and more adorable blocks in Kimberbell's Pumpkins and Potions ladder quilt project. And until I see you next time, take care and happy stitching. Bye-bye.